with the public disclaimer and the roll call by Ms. Baker, please.
Good morning. Notice of the November meeting on the Real Estate Commission, of the Real Estate Commission, including date, time, and location, has been noticed on the Tennessee Real Estate website since November 3rd, 2022. Additionally, this month's agenda has been posted on the website since Friday, November 3rd. Individuals who wish to make a public comment on an item listed on the posted agenda during the scheduled public comment period will need to sign in on the provided sign-in sheet or by placing their name in the chat box online. It is requested that comments be limited to 3 minutes out of respect for other speakers. At this time, I will call the roll. Chair Diaz.
Present.
Vice Chair Ferris. Commissioner Moffitt. Commissioner Begley.
Here.
Commissioner Torbett.
Here.
Commissioner Gwynn.
Here.
Commissioner Smith.
Here.
Commissioner Tucker.
Here.
And Commissioner Gahn.
Here. I'm going to go ahead and move to the prayer and the pledge, and I'll ask Commissioner Torbett to lead us in both, please.
Bow your heads. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you so much for the opportunity to be here. Thank you for safe travel for everyone. Just be with us today. Help us to just please guide our words and actions and help us to honor you. Always say and do. In Jesus' name, amen. Please stand for the pledge. Pledge allegiance.
So much. All right, on to the approval of the agenda. Are there any amendments to the agenda?
Yes, sir. Candidate D has been postponed to December's meeting due to scheduling conflicts.
Is there a motion to approve the agenda as amended? I have a motion from Commissioner Smith, second by Commissioner Tucker to approve the agenda. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? It's a 7-0 with one abstention. I abstain. I'm sorry.
I believe it's eight. Yes.
Eight. Thank you. I'll go on to the approval of the minutes. Any amendments or changes to the minutes from last month's meeting?
Move to approve. Second.
I have a motion to approve by Commissioner Ferris, second by Commissioner Gahn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
I'm going to abstain since I wasn't.
I'll do the same. So that'll be 7-0 this time. With 2 abstentions. Yes, ma'am. All right. Moving along. You want to bring in the public comment period now?
Yes, sir. Are there any public comments online, Aaron? We can move past the public comment period. We can close that.
Closes out the public comment section. We'll move on to our informal appearances. Candidate A, Ms. Baker.
Thank you. We have candidate A, Mr. Tyndall, with principal broker Patricia Shared. They are before you all.
We're here.
There appears to be an issue with my iPad. One moment. Let me bring that up on my computer. One moment, please. Appears there may be an error on everyone's iPad. One moment while I pull that on my computer.
Seems like it's only on that first page. The rest of the pages are okay.
Very good. Thank you, Anna. She saves the day. They are appearing before us, or Mr. Tyndall's appearing before us due to a felony aggravated burglary. Commissioner Diaz?
So for this candidate and all the candidates that are appearing before us today, just to give you an idea of how it's going to go, we're going to hear from the applicant first. and then we are going to hear from their broker second, and the commissioners will be able to ask you questions to elaborate on your specific case. But you will be given time to make a brief statement in support of your application at each time. Is that understood? Everybody understand that? Everybody good with
Yes.
that? Okay.
Understand. Yes.
So, Mr. Tyndall,
Yes.
the floor is yours.
So I was going to my friend's house when I was 19 to go and retrieve my cell phone, and I was with my older brother. At some point while I was there, I guess he went rogue, and he ended up taking some things from their house and put it in my car. Well, we were driving, and I was not made aware that anything was really taken until we were pulled over. And I ended up having to do 2 years of probation for that. It was completed, that was in 2021, I believe it was, yes. And so that was about 5 years ago, 6 years ago that the incident ended up taking place.
Any questions for this candidate? Hearing none? Okay. Is it Ms. Shepard?
Yes.
Okay. Why don't you tell us why you supported this candidate?
So I've known Matt for a while now, and I've known his family for quite some time. And I know that since all this happened, he has got married, had children, totally has changed his life around. And I just feel like that I needed to appear because he does deserve an opportunity to, to be who he wants to be and be someone different with his life. So that's why I'm appearing with him.
Any question for Ms. Shepard? Hearing none, I get the sense y'all are ready to vote, so let's vote. All those in favor of this applicant?
Aye.
Aye.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's true. We need motions,
I'll
don't we?
make a motion to approve this applicant.
A second.
All right, I have a motion by Ms. Torbett and seconded by Ms. Tucker to approve this candidate. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that passes unanimously. Good luck, Mr. Tyndall.
Thank you.
Y'all are welcome to stay and listen if you want, or if you can go about your day if you so choose.
Thank you.
Candidate B. Ms.
Thank
Bates.
you, and I do apologize for the error that are on your iPads this morning. I apologize for that technical error. Candidate B, we have Ms. Michelle Pritchett with Principal Broker Jeffrey Billington. They are before us due to a felony conspiracy to manufacture, distribute, and possess meth. And Ms. Pritchett's statement and letters of recommendation can be found on your iPads. Those are on there.
Ms. Pritchett, go ahead and tell us your story.
So I was in active addiction for a very, very, very long time. I had experiences in life that led me to addiction, and I didn't really know how to get out of it. And then in 2009, I was arrested and convicted for the charges and spent 7.5 years in prison. And during that time, I just began working on myself and bettering myself. And when I got out, I knew I'd never wanted to go back. I have been out since 2016. I was released from probation 2.5 years early. I've received a bachelor's degree, a master's degree, and I have studied and passed the real estate exams, and I never want to go back to that life. I do ministry now to help others so that they know there's a different way.
Any questions for this candidate?
Thanks for sharing your story, and glad to hear you've formed a new life, and we wish, thank you again for sharing that.
Thank you.
Now we'll hear from the broker.
Yeah, this is Jeff Billington, the broker. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. My video is not working for some reason. So Michelle is somebody that we probably all strive to be like. She has overcome extreme obstacles which in itself is enough to approve her as a real estate agent. I'm super honored that she'll even join our firm. These are the quality types of people that we look for. People that have overcome obstacles, overcome challenges, and are just better human beings for it. So this is who I want to be like, and she's a doer, and she's going to be a big asset to our firm.
Thank you so much. Any questions for Mr. Billington? Hearing none, is there a motion?
Second.
I have a motion by Ms. Smith, seconded by Mr. Ferris, to approve this candidate. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries unanimously. Congratulations and good luck, Ms. Pritchett.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Baker, candidate C.
We have Mr. Caffarella, and if I mispronounce your name, I do apologize, with principal broker Sally Sparks. They are before us today due to a professional license discipline.
Mr. Caffarella, please tell us your story.
Yes. In 2013, I met a seller in their living room, and we came to an agreement to list their property. A verbal agreement. The seller wanted me to put the property on the multiple listing service for an open house that weekend. Come to find out later in that week, she wanted me to pull the property off of the MLS. I never had a signed listing agreement, pull the property off of the multiple listing service, which was, the wrong thing to do. I should have had a written agreement. I went before the board in the state of Massachusetts, and I served a state suspension for that. And since then, I've been operating for 10 years as a broker owner and an agent in multiple states with no issues.
Any questions for Mr. Caffarella? Commissioner Smith.
Yes. What are you doing now? How are you employed now? Am I seeing that and just missing it?
I'm currently a licensed real estate broker in the state of Massachusetts.
Thank you.
First. Hearing none. Okay. Ms. Sparks, why don't you go ahead and tell us about your reasons for sponsoring Mr. Caffarella? Muted. Ms. Sparks, you're muted.
No, ma'am, we're unable to hear you. If you could unmute yourself, please, ma'am. Ms. Sparks, we could provide a phone number in the chat and maybe you're able to call in. Would that be an option for you? If you could nod your head yes or no.
Hey,
We heard her. We heard her. Yeah, we heard her over here, didn't we?
All right. While Ms. Sparks works out her technical issues, Mr. Caffarella, Commissioner Gwynn has a question for you. Go ahead.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
You're a principal broker in the state of Massachusetts, is that right?
Yes.
And you've served your suspension because of this issue with the state of Massachusetts, right?
That's correct.
And so you're coming to Tennessee. Are you associating with Ms. Sparks? Are you working on a specific deal in Tennessee, or you are expanding, or what's going on?
We're looking to expand the brokerage into an additional state.
So, have you taken the broker's exam for Tennessee?
Yes, sir.
So, what's the association with Ms. Sparks then? Are you not setting your own brokerage up in Tennessee?
The plan is to set my own brokerage up in Tennessee, and she needs a mutual friend. When I applied, they had mentioned that I needed somebody in the state of Tennessee, and had reached out to her. We had a couple of phone conversations, and she had agreed to come on.
So, do you have your broker's license in Tennessee then?
I do not yet. This is the one thing that is holding up that license from happening. I've passed the exam and submitted all the other requirements to become a licensed broker.
So at the moment, you're an affiliate broker in Tennessee, correct? Or not?
Correct? I'm not officially licensed yet in Tennessee, because I believe that this is the last thing that needs to be completed in order for me to become officially licensed in the state.
To be licensed as a what? Broker or affiliate broker?
The plan is to be set up as a broker in the state of Tennessee.
Okay.
It should be noted that Mr. Caffarella has taken and passed the broker's exam.
Hello?
We can hear you now. Ms. Sparks, if you could put your computer on mute.
Can you hear me better now?
And Mr. Caffarella, if you would do the same.
Yes.
Hello?
Let's try to struggle through this. There is a little feedback on our end, but we're gonna let the commission ask you questions.
My apologies.
She's gone now.
Anna, I have a question that Steve's brought up.
Yes.
So, to be a broker, you have to be an affiliate broker in Tennessee for a few years, pass your test, and then you can't just come in and be a broker. So, do we accept out-of-state experience?
Yes.
But
We're gonna power through. Commissioner Gwynn, you got a question?
So
He's here to get his license, so that's why he's here. No, not necessarily. That's not the case. Okay, so do we have questions for Ms. Sparks?
Oh, we haven't heard from Ms. Sparks yet.
Ms. Sparks, if the commission has questions to ask you, are you using your cell phone? Are you able to hear us? We're just
I
gonna have
am.
to. Okay, go ahead. If the commissioners have questions.
Well, Ms. Sparks, let's go ahead and hear what you have to say, and then we'll decide if we have questions.
I can't hear.
Would you like to type a statement in the chat?
Do you need me to make a statement? Is that what you're asking?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, and I apologize. The mic, I take it off mute and it's not working. But in any case, Mr. Carfarella and I know each other not personally, but only through social media and other acquaintances. He had asked me to be here as what I considered kind of just a witness to say that he is a licensed broker, and to speak on his behalf in that relation. There is no intent for me to hold his license. I understood this was essentially just to be, a witness.
Thank you. And we're going to put your phone on mute now, unless the commission has questions.
Any questions from commissioners for Ms. Sparks? Thank you, Jason. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
We got a motion to approve this candidate from Commissioner Begley, seconded by Commissioner Ferris to approve this candidate. All those in favor? Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries unanimously. Good luck, sir. Thank you, Ms. Sparks. Ms. Baker. Candidate E is next.
Yes, candidate E. Thank you guys for your patience with candidate C and those technical issues. We have Mr. Glenn Jenkins. He has taken and passed the timeshare salesperson exam. He is before you all today with his principal broker, Sue Acey, I believe. Ace. And Mr. Jenkins is before us today due to conspiracy to distribute and possess with the intent to distribute anabolic steroids and conspiracy to commit money laundering.
All right, Mr. Jenkins, the floor is yours. Tell us your story.
Okay, the anabolic charge, that conspiracy charge, I actually never did anything with steroids. The charge for the conspiracy was I had a friend who had asked me to pick up a wire transfer or a Western Union payment back in 2013 using my name. I did not realize at the time what I was picking it up for. Once I did, though, I had stopped immediately doing that, cut off all ties with him immediately. It just so happened that it came back in 2015, I guess is when they had started to do the convictions and press charges, and I guess my name had been brought up. I had to get a public defender who recommended it would be easier on me just to take a plea deal. So it wasn't a mistake that I made when I was, naive, not really thinking, but nothing that I've associated with or been around since.
Any questions for Mr. Jenkins? Hearing none. Ms. Ace, tell us about your sponsorship of this candidate.
Yes. Number one is he's had steady employment for the last couple of years, been working at as a sales rep at Restaurant Supply. This happened over 7 years ago, and he hasn't had any contact with any of these people since then, and since before then. And he's gotten married. He's active in his church. He's It happened like 7 years ago, and he's known by one of our exemplary employees, and they recommended him very highly. And I think this is what Second Chances was established for. He's turned his life around, and he's trying to do good.
Any questions for the principal broker? All right, hearing none, is there a motion? I have a motion by Commissioner Torbett, seconded by Commissioner Tucker to approve this candidate. All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries unanimously. Congratulations, sir, and good luck.
Thank you. Guys, thank you so much.
Thank you very, very much for hearing us.
Yes, ma'am. The Baker, candidate F.
Thank you. Next, we have candidate F is Mr. Jamal Carter on the line.
Yes, good morning.
Is your video working, Mr. Carter?
No, ma'am, my video is not working.
Do you have your principal broker, Charles Yates, with you today?
I'm here. Yes, ma'am.
Shall we proceed? We're going to proceed without video. If for some reason your video starts working, we would love to be able to see you. Mr. Carter has taken the timeshare salesperson exam. He is before us today with his principal broker, Mr. Charles Yates, due to a felony reckless endangerment with a deadly weapon. His statement and letters of recommendation can be found on your iPad.
Thank you, Ms. Baker. All right, Mr. Carter, you saw how this went. Tell us your story.
Yes. Unfortunately, I was raised in a single-parent home, and I just thought my mother had it out for me. So I got involved with some of my older family members who I kind of knew, my mother told me to stay away from. And I just so happened to be in the car with him one day. The police get behind us. He doesn't stop, and he just keeps going on. The car eventually runs out of gas. He runs out of the car, me not knowing there's a gun in there. I think it's a possession of paraphernalia. I don't really know what was in his car. I was already arrested by this time. Unfortunately, I was charged with those charged with reckless endangerment for being 18 with a handgun because at the time I didn't tell who my cousin was. I just kind of got caught up living the wrong life, thinking I was going to live the wrong life. And then I understood the meaning of life. I recently lost my mother. So I'm just trying to stay on track and be an outstanding citizen, be a father, be a husband.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Yates.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead and tell us about your sponsorship of Mr. Carter.
Well, I met him a few weeks ago. He's applied with our company. This is Timeshare in Gatlinburg, Tennessee, and he is seems to be a very sincere young man and dedicated to changing his life. And he's been on track quite a long while now. All of his responsibilities for what he was accused of has been taken care of, and we just liked him and want to give him opportunity to do better.
Any questions for either Mr. Carter or Mr. Yates? Hearing none, is there a motion?
I move to approve.
Second. A motion by Commissioner Gahn and seconded by Commissioner Bagley to approve this candidate. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries unanimously. Congratulations, Mr. Carter, and good luck.
Thank you, and God bless.
I have a question. Do we typically go on with the process when we can't see the people?
I don't know that happened before. I mean, that's really kind of to our discretion.
I
What we
really
can do in the future is encourage them to be on camera, and we can do that in the future when we contact them prior to appearing before the commission. I know we iterate that fact, but we of course can reiterate that fact if that is the commission's wishes.
Yeah.
We apologize. The link said it was we could do audio only, so we just assumed we didn't want to get involved in something that didn't work the other way.
Okay. Well, Mr. Carter and Mr. Yates, we've already disposed of your application, so congratulations. And you're, like I said, you're free to listen in or you're free to go about your day. Thank you both.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Ms. Baker, candidate G.
Next, we have candidate G, Mr. Dewan Bradford. Are you present today, Mr. Bradford? With his principal broker, LaTanya Martin. Are either of those folks present? Okay, they are not present, so we can move on to our waiver request if that is the commission's wishes.
Go ahead, Commissioner Nguyen.
Candidate G that's not here, is this not the third time that he or she has been here and not showed?
I believe it's the second. The candidate G did appear in Chattanooga. However, since we were on Eastern time and he was in Central time, his timing was off. He showed up exactly 1 hour late, and we were in the middle of the legal report, and it was communicated to him that we would have him back during the November meeting.
Did he show up in person?
No,
Okay.
sir. It was
Okay.
he popped up on the
Yeah, I
screen
got you.
behind you all during the October meeting.
Okay.
The first time he was here, refresh my memory, you might not have been here, but it seemed like we deferred a decision on that for some other information.
That is correct. I was
And-
actually being interviewed during that August
Okay.
meeting. But yes, he was supposed to submit additional documentation, and that information has not been submitted yet.
Okay. So the second time, the Chattanooga, then, he was supposed to have the information to us by that time, correct?
Correct. And I'm going to allow Anna or request Anna speak more to this.
Okay.
Right. So I think that if we want to have the conversation related to additional information, it would be most appropriate if Mr. Bradford was here to address those concerns. So I think, should wait to have that full conversation until the individuals before us. So if you have any questions related to the additional information, the presence or absence of it, then he can speak for himself.
Okay.
So, Commissioners, I don't know how you feel about it, but if he does join during the course of the meeting, would we want to hear his case at that time, or would we want to?
Yeah, I support that. If he shows up, I would support us trying to dispose of his application in whatever way.
All right, so staff, if you see him pop up, chime in. All right, so we'll go ahead and we'll move on to that waiver request for Mr. Jonathan Nolan.
Thank you. We have a waiver request from Mr. Jonathan Nolan. He is seeking the waiver of fees due to an expired license. His license expired December 9th of 2022. He contacted the commission in September in reference to his license, where fees have now accrued because he has not renewed his license. It should also be noted during his typical cycle, December 10th, 2020 through December 9th, 2022, Mr. Nolan did not complete his Trek Core course. However, he did complete the 23-24 course October 4th of this year, while his license was suspended.
Is his license eligible for renewal now?
Yes, because it's less than a year. Yes.
Okay, but it's pending this fee, so it's
correct. And his letter or a letter from family is on your iPad for you to review.
all of the required notices about his license expiring or renewing, all those notices went out
Correct.
to the addresses on Trek.
Correct.
Does he claim that he missed those
No.
notices? He does not claim. He just, okay, couldn't pay. Okay. So didn't pay. Commissioners, thoughts, motions?
It's a family.
A family member.
So Jonathan Nolan wrote it to another Jonathan?
We've been told that a family member wrote it on his behalf
Okay. To him.
to the commission.
To Aaron.
This starts with, as you know. How would we know?
There have been phone conversations. He's requested verbally for us to remove the fee. Staff and myself did not think it was appropriate to remove the fee. He requested that it go before the commission, and here we are.
Thank you.
Nobody signed the letter, obviously.
We have the initials AC on the letter.
Just for clarification, just for clarification. I know sometimes we work out a payment plan for penalties. Do we do that in this situation also?
I'm not payment plans for penalty fees now.
Because his license is essentially inactive, so that fee would need to be paid prior to.
So one of the reasons that this is being brought before you is we have waiver requests that are typically brought before you due to medical waivers. So that's brought in one portion of the rule. However, in the fee section of the rule, it does state that late fees can be waived for good cause shown. However, we currently do not have any parameters as to what good cause may be. Therefore, this is being brought to the commission because it says the commission may waive or lower the fee or whatever it is in your discretion. So therefore, we have the information before you, but also we were looking to see if we could get some additional guidance as to what you may determine to be good cause, what you would like to see moving forward if we were to receive requests related to good cause fee waivers moving forward.
I had a question. How did the 900? How do we get to the 900? I mean, it's a series of steps to get to that number, right?
Yes, sir. And if I may read the justification. Trek staff issued a late fee based upon the rule 1260-01-.21. Mr. Nolan's license expired on December 9th, 2022. He contracted Trek staff about his expired license on September 15th, 2023, 280 days after his license expired. Mr. Nolan was assessed $50 per day for the first 120 days at a total of $200. He was then assessed $100 per 30-day period beginning with the 121st day until day 280, which is an additional $600. Now the total is $800. On October 12th, we received a waiver request for the commission to review, and that is 307 days after his license expired. And at that point, another $100 late fee was assessed at the time that he submitted his waiver request, and that brings the total to $900.
So the letter then, there's no dates on here. In other words, what I'm trying to figure out is, in other words, did this stuff happen after the number got to 900, or did it happen when it was at 200?
It happened, I guess, technically he didn't submit anything until October 12th, formally submitting something to request a waiver on October 12th. And at that point, it is 307 days. However, he first contacted the commission on September 15th at 280 days.
Right, but you're correct. Commissioner, when we don't have dates, so we don't know when these specific events occurred in the span of those 307 days.
Right.
So then he went into expired grace for a month before fees started accruing.
And he first contacted the commission about his expired license on September 15th. And that was after it had been expired 280 days.
Thank you, Anna, for providing some context of what we've done in recent months and years about medical waivers. I'm of the mind right now, but I'd like to hear more of the commission's thoughts about this waiver. I'd be of the mind to consider a waiver of some of the fees since September of this year. When the licensee finally reached out, to offer a little bit of grace. It's in our purview, and we're not committing ourselves to doing it for every applicant. They were given 30 days grace on the beginning. Maybe we can offer 45, 60 days here since September, $100 or $200, whatever that is. That'd be something I would like to hear more about. Does anybody else have any thoughts? Or
I apologize. Will you repeat your question?
Yes. What is that number?
As of September 12th, or excuse me, September 15th, when he contacted the commission, it's $280. So it would be $800.
I guess, DJ, I'm confused as to why Mr. Nolan, if he wants us to waive his penalties, did not send us a letter from him. I mean, this is not from him, correct? We got one piece of paper here. It's an email to Aaron Smith, and you don't even know who it's from.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like, I hear you, Steve. The copy that was sent out earlier this month says this letter is written and it's addressed to Jonathan, and then it's signed AC. I don't know, that was probably done in the past 30 or 45 days is when this letter was written.
He received it on October 12th.
October 12th.
Where does it say Jonathan on it?
It doesn't say it on our iPads, but in the file that was sent out ahead of the meeting that Aaron sent us on last Thursday with the package, it says that. But it just seems to me like this is a retrospective look in this letter. They've had some additional expenses and liabilities that they have. Some of them have been voluntary. Looks like some of them have been not voluntary costs that has impacted their financial picture. And so, yeah, he's just asking for some money to waive. But I don't think it's. My opinion right now would be not to waive all $900.
But to Steve's point, I mean, this isn't an application from Jonathan to have the fee waived. Do we know that? Is Mr. Jonathan actually asking for this fee to be waived?
He has requested that the fee be waived verbally, not only to Trek staff, but to legal as well.
But not in writing.
What we received from Mr. Nolan is what you all have before you.
Is that to his broker? Do we know who his broker is?
We were told it was written by a family member. It was very vague.
Okay.
So I spoke to Mr. Nolan on the phone yesterday, and we explained to him, typically waiver requests include some kind of submitted
doctor's
form,
yeah.
Right? And so the document that you have before you today is the submitted request on his behalf. And it is submitted by a family member. And the reason that we're not being as specific about it is because there are some confidentiality issues that Mr. Nolan does not want to get into specifics for that relate to the issues of the specific family issues, not related to the monetary issue. So it is from a family member, and that is the way he chose to submit his letter. So it is a letter from a verified family member that knows firsthand of the situation.
I accept all that. Thank
So
you.
I just wanted to
Yeah.
give context and clarification.
Thank you for sharing that context.
And so this form of the letter that you have is different from the other because names and information were requested to be removed.
Okay.
And so that's why it is different.
Is there any other discipline history with this, Jonathan Nolan?
Not to my knowledge.
I have some day numbers for you if you wanted to know. September 15th.
It was 280 days.
Okay. So we have it's 280 days was the original amount of time that had expired upon initial expiration. From September 15th until today, that's been 54 days. October 12th to September 15th has been 27 days. So I know we wanted to talk about the time between when the actual contact had been, and then from the time period of the actual expiration date of the license period. So we've got 307. It would be 307 days.
So, pulling up the stuff that we got earlier has got me more confused because it looks like it was written to the candidate.
It was written on behalf of the candidate. It just was written weird. The person wrote it in a weird way, but it is for us. It's for us. I promise you, it's for y'all.
I get that. Yeah.
Commissioners? All we need is a motion. Anybody get
I'm
a sense
still
of it?
trying to understand why, when the number was at 200, okay, he didn't pay his fee when it was 200 instead of 900 or some lesser number.
Mr. Nolan did not contact the commission until 280 days
Right.
after
so
his license
so
expired.
at 280 it was 700 or something.
I believe that is 800.
But even though he didn't contact us, while this time was going by, he knew the number was going up.
Yes. Well,
So,
I can't
I
speak
don't
to what
think
he
he knew
did
the
or did
num-
not know.
I would say he didn't know the number was going up. He probably didn't realize his license was expired until sometime in that thing that he didn't pay his E&O insurance. So, and plus it looks like he had a lot of family issues going on during that time as well. So I don't think he probably realized he was being fined that much until he finally spoke up.
Although the Trek staff does communicate to licensees about their expiration date.
Yeah, he got notifications.
And I don't want to set a precedent
So
of
he is a new
licensees
licensee.
not knowing when their license is expired, when not only are they mailed their license, but it's also on their wallet license as well if they choose to keep that with them.
His broker knew it.
And he is a new licensee, I'll give him that.
In addition to that, he did not take the core course during his renewal cycle, which was December 10th, 2020 through December 9th, 2022. A core course was not taken during that period of time.
Now, I thought his license was suspended because he hadn't paid his E&O insurance.
His license, yes. However, his license expired on December 9th.
So his license was suspended and then it expired?
It expired in suspension.
Expired while it was in suspension.
Well, because there's a grace period.
Okay.
I understand.
A family member.
I mean, does anybody want to make a motion to not waive it at all, or like I was suggesting, maybe waive $100? Because I'm with Ms. Baker that the precedent needs to be maintained that licensees know the brokers know. They're notified by mail. He had chances, to Commissioner Gwynn's point, to come to this sooner. I recognize having a lot going on in my own life with 2 children, and you just forget. You get tied up. You make mistakes. It's going to cost them some money. I've had things that cost me money, but I'm willing, and from my one vote, to extend a little bit of reprieve. Anybody else?
Well, I was wondering about the idea of a payment plan and how that would be handled. So if he agrees to enter into a payment plan, does his license go to active status while that payment plan is underway?
I'm unsure how a payment plan works with an expired /suspended license. I'll have to rely on legal.
Yeah, we only have a payment plans on the legal side. I don't know how a payment plan would be done on the licensing side. So,
and when you say the legal side, that's for the legal and consent agenda side,
right.
penalties. Okay.
We do payment plans on the enforcement would probably be easier to say on the enforcement side, because for example, if you default on your payment plan on the enforcement side, there are articulated ramifications related to that, such as suspension of your license. But related on payment plans on the licensing side we're not able to do that because we are unable to have the same abilities or take action against the individual's license. Then we'll just not be able to collect the amount, and their license is active.
So the less cumbersome options for us would be either to waive it all or some amount, or enforce the entire amount. Those are our 3 options.
I believe those are the 3 options. I'm unsure if the person did not pay on the payment plan, how we would then enforce getting the necessary fee when they've been issued an active license.
Question. What about the course?
He was not in compliance with the core course during his renewal cycle. However, he did take the 23-24 core course in October of this year.
But does that smooth that over?
No.
In other words, is he current with his education requirements?
He did not fulfill his education requirements during his original 2-year licensing period.
So to get his license out of expiration right now would be to pay $900 and do more education?
I suppose, unless you want to count the 23-24 course to his last renewal cycle.
That would be a generous thing to do. I'm not saying we should, but...
Well, I guess the question is, does he have access to the 22-23 core course? Mr. White, you want to chime in here about his access to that?
Chairman, members of the commission, the core course, the current core course, of course, is 23-24. However, the core topics, the contents of the last core course, the 21-22, and now the current core, it did not change. And, that said, many times providers will have both, or maybe, at least both those courses still available. Even though we're in 23, they still have the 21-22 course. So that being said, then it could be used if the commission so decides.
I'd like to make a motion.
Vaguely.
I make a motion that if he takes the 21-22 core class, brings his E&O insurance current, and we will waive $100 to make his total $800 on his fee request for Mr. Nolan.
Second. I have a motion by Mr. Bagley, seconded by Mr. Gahn, and I'll try to restate this as best I can, that we require Mr. Nolan to take his 22-23 core course, 21-22.
Can you take that a
Yes.
year later?
Take it with caveat that there are only a few of the larger providers that he'd have to research on our website. In fact, there are some providers that keep that just because it was the former period, and they want to accommodate the licensees.
So,
May I make a recommendation?
please, Ms. Baker.
Just in case it is difficult to find the previous core course, 16 hours are typically required for licensing renewal. Maybe you up his new renewal period to 22 hours or something of that nature. So he's getting the latest and greatest information because the core courses are specific to that time period, and we may have updated rules and regulations since that period.
I like that recommendation to the motion.
Well, one of us would have to make an amendment.
But I don't believe
We don't have
a second. Maybe
we did get a second.
I apologize. Sorry.
I've got a friendly tweak that we add a time period that he takes the course between now and December 15th.
It would be great if you could do that by December 1st.
December 1st. All right,
Or-
that's fine.
Or before his
I was going to even 30 days.
30 days. Okay, very good. 30 days. We can
30 days from today, which is
the 8th.
the 8th. So, Joe's motion would then say the fee is $800. He takes the course before December the 8th.
16 hours or 16
Yes,
additional
correct.
hours.
Oh, the 16 hours wouldn't be due until 2024.
You're saying 16 plus the number of hours that would equal a core course. So 6
Correct. Correct. So
it'd be
6
16
additional
plus
hours.
6.
Correct. So maybe 6 hours by
December 8th.
December 8th. I don't want to speak for you.
Yes,
so
that's it.
your motion
Yes, December the 8th.
just 6 hours. And
6
then,
hours.
of course, the 16 by the additional 16. Or what would be required, the 16 hours that would be required by the time his license expires in 2024, December 9th, 2024.
So,
Yes, I think that's right.
well,
yes.
yeah, hold on. We're going to try to smooth this out a little bit more.
Thank you.
So we got the 16 plus 6. So we're going to say 6 plus 6 more hours of education of those or electives that he can choose from. Is that the intention?
And those electives have to be done by December 8th of 2023. Is that correct?
I wonder if specifying a number of days because there's some administrative, him getting the notice and accepting this, is that all kinds of,
Like the December 9th? Because he'll reach the 1 year mark December 10th.
okay. The date certain, yeah, okay. So do December 9th.
Just trying to get this put to bed before
I understand.
the year rolls over again. We're dealing with it again. Yeah.
And then to reduce the fee to 800. I may restate the motion. We are going to offer that Mr. Nolan acquire an additional 6 hours of continuing education to be added onto the 16 for his renewal period to be completed by December 9th,
December 8th? December 8th.
December 8th, 2023, and to further reduce his fee from $900 to $800 and make E&O current.
Correct. Is that your motion?
Is that Mr. Bagley? Does that sound right?
Perfect.
Mr. Gahn?
Second.
You got it. Everybody clear on the motion?
Discuss it now.
Let's discuss, if we must.
Yeah, I'm just sorry to go back to this. I'm just rethinking this and trying to keep the precedent we've set with the medical waivers, and how that we wouldn't have discussed this as nearly as long if there had been a doctor's notice or anything.
We did not receive one.
I know. I'm just saying, like in prior cases in my time here on the commission, and reading this, there is some medical costs that this family has incurred with. The way they put it is intensive therapy with some children, and they support these costs. And if I were to go back and amend, I might lower that fee even more now that I've gotten to think about this and some other experiences I'm aware of with families who have, costly.
If I'm not mistaken, typically with medical waivers, I believe we receive some type of certification from a physician.
Yeah, we do. I'm not, and that would be nice to have, but I'm not questioning that they don't pay these costs with some, professionals. But
I guess my question is though, who's taking? It doesn't say that he's taking care of these kids, so I don't know who's taking care of these.
Yeah, it could be more clear. I'm prepared to vote.
Any other changes or tweaks to the motion? Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion passes unanimously.
To ask additional questions, but I will. So we, one of the reasons that we did bring this before you is because it states in the rule, good cause shown. And we don't...
Good cause.
Good cause shown. And we don't know what that is. And we don't have like a process for what that is, / what you want to see that to be like now. Can we have some kind of like what we think good cause shown could be? Do you want these to come before you further? Is that something that you would like to delegate to Director Baker to make a decision on? What is the commission's desire in any potential waiver request that we may receive related to someone requesting a fee reduction specifically related for good cause shown?
No. I have some thoughts, but I'd like to hear from the other commissioners first.
Shooting from the hip here without thinking about this much. If the applicant is up on their education, if the applicant has no disciplinary history, if it's within a year and they have shown this type of good cause, which are really clear letters of who's writing, there's very clear communication and very forthright communication. And I trust the director to judge that. That's why we have Denise Baker in the director's chair. And especially medical letters from therapies or doctors or whoever, I would feel comfortable given those good cause that's shown, education, no discipline within a year, forthright communication, that the director could waive fees at their discretion.
Medical waivers would continue to come before you,
Okay.
obviously. So it would just be in the specific box.
And and if all those boxes are checked that I just laid out, then it should make our deliberation far easier when they do come before us. If that's what needs to happen, that's fine too.
I've got a question. From a process standpoint, when a person asks for a waiver, what kind of communication do they give you? Is it all over the board? Is it? I would think if we had a form to fill out, here's a waiver request form, or do we have that?
I believe we want to be mindful of that, just because life impacts us all in different ways at different times.
Mindful of what?
Having a form requesting waivers of fees because life has not been nice, which is, I believe, the case with the prior waiver request that we just discussed. I think what Anna is speaking to is more of some direction from you all. Do you want to continue to see monetary hardship request? Because that's essentially what the request that we just reviewed was a monetary hardship request. Of course, medical waivers will still go before you all.
I'm happy to see those. It's just this one is so vague. If it's hard to even know, did this hardship that we have the note about, did that really affect this person? So there's no direct link here between this hardship and this person. So, I mean, in the future, at least for me, maybe have a little bit more specification or request some from the individual. Just say, hey, thanks for the note, but
we requested it. I will say, to my knowledge, this is the first monetary hardship request that the commission has received. And we don't want to set a precedent I don't believe you all want to set a precedent of reviewing monetary hardship request.
Well, and I'll say just on the medical request side, in terms of the scope of it, I mean, I think, obviously we're going to center on a licensee. So I would say medical hardships for caring for children on one side or caring for their parents on the other side.
Correct, but those typically come with
the medical.
Correct.
Mm-hmm. And those come with the doctor's notes and
correct.
And
that would be classified as a medical hardship.
Okay, so
this could have qualified as medical hardship.
This person chose not to submit.
I think it could have, exactly.
Yes, it could have, but that was
It's
not the
not,
route that they chose. And so, but this part of the rule is there, and I was like, we gotta follow rules. But we do have this provision of the rules that we cannot ignore. So that's why I'm looking for more concrete structure as to what to do.
Thank.
Go ahead, Joe. Well, and the term you used for the rule is in good cause. That language doesn't help us at all. It doesn't help you. It doesn't help us. Because it leaves it up to us after we hear it if the material presented to us adds up to good cause. And that's up to us individually to decide whether we've been satisfied that the cause is good enough for some adjustment of that fee. I don't know if I'd given you parameters is something we can really do. I think it's just a case-by-case basis. You probably end up having to hear them and deciding.
I think sometimes it's important for us to hear those situations. So I think I would like to continue on the path we are right now.
Like a bare minimum statement. Like, is there something like, a bare minimum threshold of something that there is? Like today we had an individual provide a statement, but it wasn't necessarily from them.
Oh.
Like, is there something that you want to see?
I'd certainly like to hear from the actual licensee and get a statement from them.
So in non-medical waiver request, you would like the licensee to be present?
If they submit just a statement.
Like we would like a statement from the license.
Yeah, they can submit it typed written if they want to do that.
Even the ones that we've had medical waivers, there's still usually a little statement from the licensee and then the doctor's note. So I would think this would be the same.
It's just a lot easier because the rules on medical waivers are so clear cut as to what we need and about it. So, and this one is just, there. So in the future, if this were to occur, we will request a statement from the individual expressing whatever it is that.
Yeah, and make sure they spell out their circumstances and their justification for the request.
Okay.
This is a slippery slope because, as Denise eloquently said, life's hard. So, we're going to get that a lot. And I would like for them to be present. I mean, I think that may lower the number of requests and then they we can get a good feel of, somebody, just like the guy earlier that we couldn't see his video. We all wanted to see the video. And this person,
Okay, if they're on. Well,
I would
We
love
have
for
to
him to be
allow
on
that.
video.
I mean,
And-
like we can have them on Teams if that's what you would like. If you would like the person to appear to explain, I mean, that's fine. I think
that's preferred, not
that's
necessary.
preferred, but not required. I don't
Sense.
for. Let's do one. Have to do this. If someone is like Anna, you needed a motion.
All right, I'll make a motion that for a hardship,
Will you speak into your mic, please?
sorry, for a hardship waiver request, we would like a personal statement from the licensee and preferred they be present via video. Does that sound good?
So for
Any hardship.
Any hardship but medical, correct?
everybody hear the motion? Second. I got a second. So I got a motion by Commissioner Torbett.
Will you repeat the motion, please? So
I will.
thank you.
And seconded by Mr. Gwynn to require a personal statement from the licensee in the terms of financial hardship and to express our preference that they be present either personally or by video when their application is about to be heard. Does that sound right? Sound good? Yes. All right. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries unanimously.
Next, we have the educational report.
Do. Mr. White, good day, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. Good morning. It's a beautiful day. Hope everybody's going to have a good one. Before you today, I have the November 8th Real Estate Commission Education Agenda. I have personally reviewed all the providers, their courses, and the instructors, and I present them to you today that they do comport with the rules of the commission for your approval.
All right, so any commissioner want to pull a course to talk about specifically? Hearing none, is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Torbett, seconded by Commissioner Smith to approve courses N1 through N62. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries unanimously. Mr. White, I notice you don't have any instructors for us
Thank you,
this
Mr.
month.
Chairman and members of the commission. There are no new instructors to report on this agenda today.
Foods education report then, sir?
That would conclude it. Thank you so much.
All right, Mr. White. Ms. Baker, we got your report next, yes?
Short and sweet. Thank you, Ross. Last month, we discovered some inconsistencies with reporting with PSI. And so today we have the Senior Vice President of Licensure, Alone Schwartz, that will give a presentation to you all in reference to that. And if we could hold questions to the end, I would greatly appreciate it. Oh, yes.
Schwartz, yes, you join us at that podium. Thank you, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you guys for having me. Let's just make sure that the clicker works. Okay. So my name is Alone Schwartz. I am the Senior Vice President of Licensure at PSI. Okay. I'm good. There's a bigger picture. My name is Alone Schwartz. I am the Senior Vice President of Licensure at PSI. I have been with PSI for 15 years, and in my current role, I oversee all of PSI's state regulatory programs, Tennessee Real Estate being one of them, obviously. And in total, we have 200 state regulatory, or we call it licensure clients at PSI. In terms of our partnership with the Tennessee Real Estate Commission, we began working with the commission in 2004. Since then, we've tested over 250,000 candidates. The newest thing that we've offered to the program is remote proctored or online testing, where candidates can take the exam from home in addition to being able to take it at a test center. That began in 2021. Tennessee Real Estate was actually one of our first real estate clients to adopt the online testing modality for exam delivery. And here are just some recent stats for the past 12 months in terms of the exams that we have delivered in total for the program for the past year, split up by how many candidates took it remotely versus at a test center. For the past year, it's been about 35% of the candidates that have taken the exams remotely. In terms of our partnerships with the Department of Commerce and Insurance, in addition to real estate, we do test administration and development for 9 other programs. So we've been a long-standing partner and vendor with the department for the past 19 years for real estate, which is incredible, and then all the way down. The most recent ones we've added actually 10 years ago are the private investigation and polygraph, private protection services, and the alarm system contract. So in terms of reporting, which Ms. Baker brought up, in speaking with Ms. Baker about a month, 6 weeks ago, what we found out, and we really appreciate Ms. Baker bringing this to our attention, is in some of the reports that her and her staff were running, the candidate totals, and I will show an example in a second, were not matching to when you look at the candidate total versus the pass and fail columns for a report. So let me just actually go to the example here. So when you look here, if you look at, this is just one snippet from a report, it showed that there were 124 candidates that tested. That's how many people took that specific exam. And if you look at the pass and fail, that equals 123. So there's one candidate off from the total tested versus the pass and fail. So when Ms. Baker brought that to our attention, we did an entire analysis internally, and what we realized is, especially for those candidates that take the exam at home, when they're taking a remote proctored test, it's through a browser, and if they finish their exam without closing it or kind of ending it in the sort of what our system would have liked them to have done, their record kind of stayed in what we called an unavailable status. So the candidate did get their score, but internally when it closed, it didn't close their record. So they were kind of sitting there in this flux area where they weren't a pass or fail when you ran those reports. So when Ms. Baker brought that to our attention, our team did an analysis. We realized that it wasn't closing the record. So what we have done since is we now have a process that automatically goes and takes all of these records that are in this unavailable or flux status and closes them within the day of taking their exam. When someone sits at home and takes their exam, when they're done, sometimes they'll just walk out and leave. You know, they don't hit the end button, but their exam has ended. So we, for those candidates that don't close it properly, basically close it for them within a day. So we really appreciate Ms. Baker and the team bringing that to our attention. We realized that some of the reports, again, in looking at it, that's the reason that those records didn't match. So now when you look at it after we did that whole process, and this is now ongoing moving forward, the columns for the candidates tested and the pass and fail match exactly as a one-to-one. The other thing that I just wanted to bring up in meeting with Ms. Baker is in terms of sort of how we can report better to the commission. So one of the things that we are going to do, that we're going to implement in terms of not just candidate reporting and pass-fail reporting, but also just anything that comes up, whether it's issues or, so we're going to start using a case management system that we have with Salesforce that we'll introduce to Trek and the team. And that way, not only are we able to kind of consolidate all of all of the issues going back and forth in one system, but we'll be easily able to report on different categories. So then that way we'll be able to see, are the issues coming from call center, test center, is it remote? So we'll be able to report really precisely on sort of what buckets of issues are the candidates and potential licensees facing and coming to PSI and taking the exam. So we're looking to implement that in early December. We will work with Ms. Baker and her team to introduce them to the process and the software, and then they'll be able to run reports on their own, and we'll be meeting with them on an ongoing basis to talk through what those issues are.
So this is just an issue with the reporting, not necessarily regarding the candidate's ability to pass/fail.
Correct. And it wasn't an issue with like candidates getting incorrect scores by any means. It was just it was at the end. They still got their scores. It was just the report wasn't totaling it up correctly.
Didn't issue any reporting coming back to track at all.
Unfortunately, it did. And because of that, Trek staff and myself have worked or are working with PSI to get updated reporting, not only for 2023, but for 2022. And I believe this began in January of 2021, correct?
Right.
So we'll be getting updated reports. Trek staff and myself will be reviewing those reports, and we would want to introduce them and put them on the record at December's meeting. That way we are accurate, because what has been presented to the commission for a moment, for a while, has been inaccurate pass-fail rates as it pertains to all our different types of licensees. It's not just happening in Tennessee. This was a nationwide thing. So PSI is taking steps, or has taken steps to rectify the issue. Commissioner Martin and myself met with him yesterday afternoon to discuss this in great detail and some customer service issues. And I trust we will continue to work together to rectify any and all issues that we have with PSI, not only in regards to reporting and the new reporting tools that they're introducing, but the customer service issues as well. Mr. Schwartz has come from California to present to you all today because I believe, and I don't want to speak for him, realizes that this is a very important issue and we want to present accurate information to the commission. So at this time, he is willing to take questions if you all have any.
Well, I guess my general question is, this reporting error hasn't impacted a candidate's ability to get their license?
No.
Okay.
Not to my knowledge, no.
Questions for Baker and Mr. Schwartz?
Just want to thank Mr. Schwartz for coming from California.
I appreciate you having me. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Hearing none?
He really missed me and Ross, which is why he came all the way up here. So.
Well, I can see that, Ms. Martin.
Very true.
I can't imagine any other state having a better team.
Thank you again for coming and speaking on record in reference to the reporting issue, and the commission. You will receive updated reports in December from January 2021 on that the commission has reviewed, verified, so we can put those on the record. If there are no other questions for Mr. Schwartz, is he excused?
He is. Thank you, sir.
All right.
Thank you. Ms. Baker, is there any more you'd like to report?
I have a few other updates. Trek sent out its first newsletter in nearly a year with a 63.8% open rate. We will continue to send out quarterly newsletters to inform all licensees of news and developments as it relates to Trek. Excuse me. In June 2022, TDCI contracted with Kaplan Real Estate to provide high school students in at-risk and distressed counties an opportunity to study real estate through a pre-licensed education program by Kaplan. This exciting program provides base education. Trek requires to sit for the pre-licensing exam to become a licensed affiliate broker, and it's an incredible opportunity for high school students looking to obtain a real estate license. Trek staff is working on the fine details of the program and its implementation, and hope to roll out the program in the first quarter of 2024. Are there any questions in reference to that program?
Yeah, this is came on our radar when Caitlin was the director, and she shared this was something, an initiative through the governor's office in distressed counties. And
Yes.
I know at that time I voiced that I would be willing to be of any help or support as that is shared, or I don't know how anything at all we can do to help. I mean, I think it's a good thing.
We are working, and I have a meeting with Tennessee Realtors to help that will hopefully help us get the word out. There's a press release, and we're going to focus on those newspapers and at-risk and distressed counties, and working with those local associations to help us promote the program in those communities. Because as you all know, folks in those communities are their biggest cheerleaders, and so we want to get as many students involved. Right now, there's funding if they were to complete the program from start to finish for about 193 students across the state of Tennessee.
Will be offered all across the state.
In at-risk and distressed counties, this program will be offered.
And when will we know what those counties are?
They are actually listed on tn.gov, the counties that are considered to be at-risk and distressed. I don't have those. There's several of them. There's 95 counties in the state, and I don't remember those specifically.
So this, if I remember correctly, this is a course that's going to be offered during the school day.
We are working to get around that, possibly, just because we would have to work with the school boards possibly, and it may be more time consuming to implement that program if we were to do that. So the onus is really going to be on the student to complete the coursework, and if they're able to do it a part of the school day, fantastic. If not, and they take that extra initiative, that's even better because they really want it.
Either during the school day or after?
Correct, depending on how it's set up in any given community. Two more things. The Joint Operations Committee voted to approve new rules on distance education courses and timeshare interval rescission rights on October 19th. So those will go in effect on Thanksgiving Day. And then lastly, I'll be working with the Arello Examination Accreditation Committee. I've been appointed to a term that will last until 2027. So we are looking forward to working hand in hand with Arello in some capacity, in this capacities and others. So thank you. That concludes my report.
Very good. Well, commissioners, I think we can go ahead and take a 10-minute break. We'll adjourn. We'll go in recess, then come back. Well, let's just say 10 minutes after the hour, 10:10. At this point, we're going to begin the legal and consent agenda. I'm going to read into the record the cases that commissioners have pulled for further discussion. Those cases are 18, 23, 25, 26, 31, 37, 39, 43, 48, 50, 52, 53, and 55. Those cases in mind, is there a motion?
I'd like to add two more.
Commissioner Ferris.
15 and 42, please.
All 28.
Oh, ma'am, I did not. I think the list getting longer.
I'll be quick. I pulled too many last month. Guess I was filling in for you.
Just for a point of clarification, are we adding 28 and 42?
15.
15,
15,
28, and 42.
28 by Commissioner Smith, and I added 42.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. With those new cases in mind, is there a motion?
Move to.
I believe the motion would be to accept council's
Move
recommendation.
to accept, Counselor. Sorry, yeah. Been so thinking about waivers.
So I have a motion by Commissioner Ferris to accept council's recommendation on all the cases, but those read into the record, and seconded by Commissioner Tucker. All those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion passes unanimously. Commissioner Ferris, case number 15.
Yeah, maybe council can speak to this. I want to be brief with case 15. I just want to make sure that the earnest money was not released without mutual consent to the let's see.
Let me look at the file and see if that.
When I read this case, it made me think of cases. I mean, not cases. It made me think of contracts in which I have been a part of, or my clients have been a part of, and terminations occur, and earnest money is held by the holder, either title company or a firm, and it's not to be released without mutual consent. And if there is no mutual consent, it either, if it's at a title company, it just sits there for however long, which is a long time. It could be a long time, but if it's at a real estate firm's office, it's held no longer than 21 days. And then there's a process with how that gets put into interpleader. And it's amazing how much earnest money is released at 5 p.m. on the 21st day of a dispute.
And a broker can make a decision also that's holding that earnest money to give it if he or she decides to do so.
To one of the parties.
Yes.
Okay. That's news to me. I always thought that a broker would shy away from that, but
most of the time they will. But
yeah,
if it's clear cut, they can make
okay.
that decision.
Okay. Well, then I move to accept council's recommendation. Case number 15.
Motion to accept council's recommendation for case number 15, seconded by Commissioner Torbett. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries unanimously. Case number 18, that was mine. I just wanted to see if there was any effort or anything in the record that shows that the respondent tried to update the measurement of the square footage in the listing or requested the information.
There were text messages exchanged that make it clear that they did discuss that the appraiser came back and said it was smaller, but it doesn't look like there was ever any, that the report was provided to the respondent, or that the respondent asked for it, or that the complainant's agent offered it. It was just a text exchange.
But the text said the unit was smaller but didn't give them numbers?
Correct.
Motion to accept council's recommendation.
Second.
I need a motion. I need a motion.
Move to accept council's recommendation for case 18.
Second.
Motion to accept council's recommendation on case number 18, seconded by Commissioner Gahn. All those in favor? Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries unanimously. All right, so case number 23 is the first one of, I just wanted to know what the letter of warning that they were issued prior, what that subject was.
Sir, it was a letter of warning for an advertising violation.
I have no additional questions and no quarrel with the recommendation. Is there a motion?
Second.
Motion to accept council recommendation by Commissioner Smith, seconded by Commissioner Moffitt to accept council recommendation. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Number 25, Commissioner Smith.
This is the one where the agent took responsibility for forging a signature, and it looks like council recommends a revocation of respondent's license. You want to explain?
What respondent admitted? What respondent admitted to is the subject of a criminal investigation, and so I after seeing the note and seeing the response from the homeowners association president who was asked about it. This is a pretty blatant, I thought, willful misrepresentation. And so I think it meets the requirements of the statute that I cited there, 6213-312. But because it's the ultimate discipline that you all can bring down, I certainly wanted to run that by you first and make sure that you were in agreement with that.
Forgery is obviously a serious matter. So I think we need to follow the rules that we have.
Well, and I will note that this licensee has been licensed since '76, so they are of an experience where they should know better. Everybody should know better than to forge documents, but especially this particular.
If the license is revoked, remind me of the process in which they can get that back. Can they not get it back, or like after a year or something? There's a time period, I think.
My understanding is that they would have to go through the entire, they would start over essentially.
Right.
And from step one, but have to appear before the committee.
After a year's time, is there a time limit to that, or?
I don't believe so.
Okay, thank you.
So do we know how many, is he have any affiliates? Is he a principal broker? Yeah, he's a principal broker. Does he have any affiliates on his license?
I did not look into that, quite frankly, as part of the background on this. I can certainly find that out and get that information to you.
I'd certainly like to know that because I want affiliates to have to scramble to get a new principal broker.
I will say that it would be part of a consent order process, just like every other disciplinary process, that they would have noticed that this has been what has been recommended. And it's not something that's going to happen this afternoon. So there will be ample time for any affiliate to make necessary arrangements.
Did you have a lot of dialogue with this person? Like, he says that he spoke to the HOA president. I mean, he's been licensed since '76 and no previous history. So,
because it's the subject of a criminal investigation, and because of the statement that they provided themselves, and because I'm essentially an agent of the state and a lawyer, I was uncomfortable calling them and asking them any questions.
Well, John, I'll start with you. Do you have a motion?
Because of the process, they're notified that this can happen, and then they can come back in with more information, correct?
Yes, ma'am. If they want to contest the order, they certainly, or if whatever discipline, just
They
like
can do
any
that.
other discipline, if they want to contest it, they certainly can with a hearing. Yes, ma'am.
Then I'm going to accept council's recommendation. It's my motion.
Make a recommendation.
Oh,
The
Yes,
recommendation was
They
to
made a
revoke.
recommendation that's
Oh,
not
I'm
quite a
sorry. Yeah, sorry.
recommendation.
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. They did make a
They
recommendation.
made it.
As I was saying.
It's just not listed as the.
Right.
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 And
Commissioner Smith made a motion. All right, go ahead,
Let
counsel.
me add one additional response to your question regarding any affiliates that are with this principal broker. They are a sole practitioner, essentially. Yes, sir.
Oh. Well, let me see if I can get a second. Commissioner Smith made a motion to accept council recommendation to revoke this licensee's license. Seconded by Commissioner Moffitt. So now we got a motion discussion. Go ahead, Commissioner Wood.
Who are the parties in the lawsuit?
The parties to the lawsuit are the couple that bought the property based on this letter that this principal broker signed, saying it would be okay for them to then turn around and lease the property out, even though the HOA rules said you could not do that.
So the complainant is the plaintiff,
Yes, sir.
and the defendant is the respondent.
Correct.
Okay.
Any other questions or
We
discussion?
heard from the HOA president.
There was a statement provided by them in the file. Yes, ma'am.
Guessing they just said that they didn't consent to their signature being used.
They said the rules are the rules, and they don't understand why there was any confusion over whether or not they could lease the property.
Hearing any additional questions, I'll go ahead and, since we're ready to vote, all those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes unanimously on case number 25. Number 26, Joan.
Yes, my question on that one was, did you see a copy of the extensions that were made on the property? And did those extensions address a different purchase conditions?
The extensions were part of the file. I don't recall if they specifically addressed the reasons for the extensions. So let me.
The question I had on 26 was there a mutual release form included as part of the record in the RF 481? It's called a mutual release from purchase and sale agreement and earnest money disbursement.
There was a mutual release that was submitted by both parties that neither party that they didn't both sign. Like one had their version of the mutual release where it released it back to the buyer. One had their version then that released it back to the seller. Both of those were rejected.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
Obviously, it looks like they changed the financing contingencies, and that was my concern, was when the extensions were made, a lot of times we will put a date and a price or financing contingencies all in that one extension. And I wondered if it changed from cash to another type of financing.
About 300 pages here, so I'm going, no, you're fine.
Burden.
I have. Oh, ma'am, there was no change in the financing, just that they were just that the closing date would be extended. First, I think it was a week, and then the next one was 2 weeks for the buyer to have additional time to get his funding together.
We actually have forms available that allow us to say that we're changing our financing from cash to financing. So the seller was never notified that the financing was going to be changed, but the contract said all cash with no contingencies, if I'm correct. So the argument they're making is whether or not the earnest money should be returned or not. Am I correct? And to whom?
Correct.
And at this point, the earnest money is still in limbo. Is that your understanding?
But I recall going through all of this. Yes, ma'am. That there was no agreement as to what would happen.
That's typically handled somewhere besides here.
So does this add up to a contract dispute then?
They're going to have to, yes, sir, figure out by an interpleader or other means how to go about that.
And I'm going to accept council's recommendation.
Take that as a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Smith to accept council's recommendation on case number 26. Seconded by Commissioner Bagley. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries unanimously. Number 28, Commissioner Smith.
Oh, again. They're going to keep me on. Okay, I think I was just asking for you to explain a little bit more, because there's insufficient evidence to prevail in a contested hearing that the respondent was acting as an unlicensed broker. So I'm assuming you have sufficient evidence to prove that.
I'm saying I don't have sufficient evidence to prove that. So previous counsel, when they submitted the legal report back in, it looks like 2021, may have had the solicitation that was the subject of this complaint. I cannot find it in the file. I have nothing from that time period to move forward with should we have a hearing. And when I went to the respondent's current website, which is all that I can do, they appeared to be in compliance with your rules. So I didn't feel like it would be a good use of this commission's resources to try to have a hearing when I don't have the solicitation that was at issue here in the complaint.
And I make a motion we accept council's recommendation to dismiss.
I have a motion to accept council's recommendation in case number 28, seconded by Commissioner Moffett. All those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries unanimously. Number 31, Commissioner Smith.
I was just curious about the civil penalty of $200. Is that the typical fee?
The only reason
type
I
of
think
penalty?
I suggested $200 fees just because I didn't have any prior history of anything like that. The number was just based off really just the fact that they should get some kind of penalty, but I didn't think like $1,000. I thought that was a little excessive, and then if it was, they've now since corrected it.
Okay.
I just thought that was just an appropriate amount, but if you disagree, that's fine.
I make a motion we accept council's recommendation.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Smith to accept council's recommendation in case number 31, seconded by Commissioner Torbitt. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries unanimously. Case number 37. Okay, Joan, that was both of us, so.
Oh, well, then you go.
And I'll go. Okay. On this case, I was just curious about, do we know if the earnest money has been distributed or interpled?
To my knowledge, based on what the respondent said, that the earnest money has been returned. The only reason they refused originally is because during the negotiations, the complainant had added additional things that they had not agreed to repair. So they were just waiting for, I guess, the time limit to run out. But as soon as the time limit ran out, they were more than willing to release the.
Today is at 5 p.m.
Did you by chance have a copy of the repair proposal, and was it signed by all parties?
Oh, I did have a copy of it. The respondent, attached it. The issue was that the respondent would say, "I'm going to repair these items," and the complainant kind of added in additional things that they said they were going to agree to repair.
Outside
and so
of
the signatures
outside of a written
yes, outside of what
was written
agreed.
in.
Yes.
So
and they
it was
wanted them to agree to.
So it was a
all the
verbal
repairs.
agreement that they were going to take care of some things.
It was not a verbal agreement. They seemed to be at odds about what was agreed to. So the respondent saying that they had agreed to everything except for 2 items, and the complainant wanted to add those 2 items, and so they kind of just wrote it in without the respondent's consent. So the respondent refused to sign that they would agree to repair those items.
Okay. Thank you. I make a motion that we accept council's recommendation.
Second. I have a motion by Commissioner Smith to accept council's recommendation in case number 37, seconded by Commissioner Moffett. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries unanimously. Case number 39. Joan, that's you again.
My question was, I know that you have an assessment of a fee and it's broken down. Is that what we normally would assess in these situations?
I believe my understanding is it's $1,000 for any unlicensed activity. So that's where I got that number from. And then the $50, it was just for a sign. I didn't have any precedent for that amount, but since there was a violation, that's just what I put.
And a question? No. Okay, then I make a motion that we accept council's recommendation.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Smith, seconded by Commissioner Tucker, that we accept council's recommendation for case number 39. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries unanimously. Case number 42, Commissioner Ferris.
Yeah, this caught my attention with the amount of commissions the respondent has received during the time their license has been expired, and with the more deals on the table as the case says. And I just thought, is there any indication that we can tie this to more than just one act, and to raise this civil penalty beyond 1,000?
No one included anything additional. The Clayton they had that information. They didn't have anything supporting the $130,000 in commissions that they received, or any additional transactions that the respondent engaged in while unlicensed. And since the respondent just admitted to one, that's all I could really tie them to.
I make a motion to accept council's recommendation on case 42.
Second.
A motion from Commissioner Ferris to accept council's recommendation in case number 42, seconded by Commissioner Gahn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries unanimously. So number 43, that's another one of mine. I'd just like to know what the letter of warning, what the subject of the letter of warning was.
It was just like duty to exercise reasonable care, and it was for not disclosing a personal interest for an immediate family member. That's all it really said, was just they need to disclose that kind of relationship, but nothing in detail.
Chair will entertain a motion. I have a motion by Commissioner Smith to accept council's recommendation, seconded by Commissioner Ferris to accept council's recommendation on case number 43. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries unanimously. Case number 48, Commissioner Smith.
I had a question because complainant stated the respondent wanted to charge an additional finance charge to pay off their mortgage. That doesn't make sense to me.
It also didn't make any sense to me. It was very unclear who
I
anyone's
wanna
role
do-
was.
Yeah, I
in
want
any
to
of
pay
this
mine
trans-
too.
Yeah. It was just very unclear, like what the respondent was responsible for. It kind of seemed like it was like a title company situation, and not related to any kind of like selling of real estate, just like the back end of the transaction. But the entire complaint was confusing.
I was confused.
Well, and this is a circumstance where the complainant wanted to cancel their complaint.
They did. They were told that they
were
could
told that
not,
they couldn't,
but they did say that, and they said they have no additional issues. So
I make a motion to accept council's recommendation. I was just confused about how you add that in as a finance charge to pay off your mortgage. It's a little confusing.
We have a motion from Commissioner Smith to accept council's recommendation in case number 48, seconded by Commissioner Tucker. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries unanimously. Case 50, Commissioner Smith.
Okay, this is one where they did not respond. Is that correct?
Yes.
So the recommendation for the civil penalty is for no response. Is that correct?
the civil penalties for unlicensed activity. They're not a licensed vacation rental firm or working with anyone with a brokerage license for that.
So the penalty of $1,000 for unlicensed activity.
Yes.
So can we do another penalty? You cannot.
I don't believe so because they're not a licensee.
Okay, thank you. I make a motion.
Second.
I have a motion to accept by Commissioner Smith to accept council's recommendation on case number 50, seconded by Commissioner Moffitt. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries unanimously. Case number 52. Again, that was me. I just wanted to know the subject of the letter of warning.
It was a duty to exercise reasonable care, and that one was for, I guess it's confusion related to the buyer's form for financing.
Chair, I'll entertain a
Move to accept council's recommendation for case 52.
I have a motion by Commissioner Ferris to accept council's recommendation in case number 52, seconded by Commissioner Torbett. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries unanimously. Case number 53. That's me, okay. So what did I say? The only question I had about this one is the narrative mentions a lapse in E&O insurance. Is that case going to be heard at a later date? Or
Yes, that's an open case.
It's an open case?
I'm not sure it's going to get assigned to, but I know that it's opened and it will probably come out either next month or January, but it is on our radar.
Chair, I'll entertain a motion.
Move to accept council's recommendation for case 53.
I have a motion by Commissioner Ferris to accept council's recommendation in case number 53, seconded by Commissioner Moffett. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries unanimously. Case number 55, Joan.
This is another one where the where some documents were forged.
That was the allegation. So it's like a longer story, but essentially the allegation was that the client was saying that the respondent forged documents for them. But there was a court case involving the complainant and the actual seller of the property because the transaction fell through. And in the documents that were filed with the court and the judgment that was received, it looks like the complainant was the one who actually forged documents regarding bank statements, saying that they had certain money that they didn't actually have. And based off what I received, it did not seem like the respondent had any forging issues. And they weren't a party to the lawsuit either, but based off the allegations and what the court's findings were.
I'll make a motion we accept council's recommendation.
Second. We have a motion to accept council's recommendation in case number 55, seconded by Commissioner Moffett. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries unanimously. And I think that dispenses with all the pulled cases. There is an opportunity for commission discussion. The commissioners have anything they would like to discuss? Hearing none.
I have a question.
There we go. Come on.
We're meeting December.
Right now, we do have a December meeting on our calendar. Yes.
That's all
December
I have.
6th.
That's all I have.
And Trek staff will be at that meeting.
I will be too, Lord willing. Thank you.
You're not wanting to have the December meeting?
For some reason, I thought we were considering not having it and seeing how our load was in January.
That doesn't happen. It's January.
I think we meet January, February, not meet March because of spring break and seeing how the load was in April, if I'm not mistaken.
And four. Thank you.
Kind of remember it your way, DJ.
I guess I'm going to be the odd man here. I listened to the discussion on every other month and skipping months and those kind of things. But I feel like when I raised my hand to serve on this commission, I made a commitment to travel. So I think we're dealing with people's livelihoods. So when we try to do something that's more convenient to us, it doesn't feel quite as good as I want it to.
Guilt DJ, but sounds like remote meetings.
I look forward to meeting in December. Yeah. We'll hear all the cases that come before the commission. Nobody's not been heard, to my knowledge.
I think it was more of an effort to be more in line with the other commissions that meet quarterly, not because of inconvenience, but to be more in line with the other commissions within TDCI to meet quarterly and instead of monthly.
State resources and
correct.
And saying like if if it weren't for my question 3 minutes ago, we'd have been done 5 minutes ago. And so we have more capacity to do more cases today that we might not have to meet every time. So that was where that came from when I brought it up.
I think the statutory requirement that cases be heard 120 days.
I believe it's quarterly, yes.
Is on
it's 180 according to Anna.
So we do meet monthly, but I don't think if we decide to meet quarterly, we're going to be necessarily holding anything.
But if it was 180, we would still need to meet in West Tennessee and East Tennessee.
We're filing things for hearing, so we don't have one scheduled for December, but I filed one for January that is going to, if it will be January, 2 days. So we're trying to move cases through because we told you about the backlog. So we're trying to be efficient with your time and get things through. So we only have so many things, but we're also doing like unlicensed and E&O cases, which you don't hear. Like I filed 3 of those cases this week. So we're working through a lot of for you guys.
I'll be here with bells on.
Please bring literal bells for Christmas.
So
Received your photo. If I could take a photo, or if you have not sent one in, if you guys will stay behind so I can take your photo. As far as Trek staff is concerned, we look forward to seeing you all in December because all of the staff, all 11 of us, will be here to put a face with some of the names that you guys have seen and heard of over the years.
is that part of the luncheon you're trying to pull together?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So there's no other business, commissioners. I
think a point of order to
Ma'am.
adjourn.
Yep. Hearing any objections? Hearing none. Safe travels, everybody, and have a good month.
Back to check.